Hey, welcome back to Jigs on Switch. Back with game one on Naya Zoo. This hand is interesting. I definitely would rather have the Bog in the deck. It's not really a card that I want in my opening hand. So what this hand is a turn 2 Goyf into a turn 3 Domri, which is interesting. It is a 5-lander, and I think that's why I'm going to drop this hand. I think if we even draw into one more land within the next 5 turns, I'm going to be pretty unhappy, so I'm going to mulligan to try to find a more aggressive 6. Of course these things happen sometimes. This is a mulligan again. I don't think there's any chance of me actually just keeping this because it is a 6. So I'm a mulligan again. This is a pretty good hand. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to pack the mountain. The mountain's a little bit sus. And I'm going to put back the Savannah because it can be found with both jewels. So pretty happy to keep this. Polluted Delta, Snow-Covered Island, Astro. Okay. Qasali Pridemage. Pretty happy here just to go for Savannah into Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. Just to build up my mana early on. And then also just get Dryad Arbor out of the deck. It's not really a card I want to be drawing into. And it means next time we could play maybe Goyf and Hexdrinker, which is pretty nice if we go up against an Oko deck. Karakas. Swords. Okay. Hexdrinker. I think here I'm just going to go for Goyf. I'm going to get a Taiga. Getting a Taiga because I want to have Bolt open. Teferi's pretty good. So hopefully we can draw a land here. It means we can play the Hexdrinker as well as Goyf. Snap into Swords is pretty good. Interesting they did it now. Because what they could have done is actually do it in our attack phase, and it would have maybe allowed them to trade the Snapcaster for the Tarmogoyf. I'm going to play the Qasali out. It allows us to get above this Snapcaster Mage, which is nice. And even if they force it, then it still allows the Goyf to get through. I'm going to play the Mountain because there might be a way that I want to destroy this Astrolabe. The block is fine. I'm going to play the Hexdrinker, and then I'm just going to keep the Snow-Covered Mountain open. If my opponent has a main deck way to clear the board, I probably want to trade this Qasali Pridemage with the Astrolabe. And if they play an Oko, I don't really want them turning the Astrolabe into a 3-3. Another Astrolabe, okay. Another Astrolabe, okay. Just a pass. I think Waddle's a card that I really want to try to play around, but that's a pretty hard one to play around. Green Suns is interesting, and I probably want to be getting Klothys here, just because it's quite a hard weighted, actually, it's quite hard to deal with. So I'm going to do that first, because if it gets countered, it might put an instant in the yard for Goyf. Okay. Now I kind of have to throw everything at Teferi, because an Ice Fang by itself with me just attacking with 2 creatures would be pretty bad. Dead of Winter at instant speed, rough. I guess they can bounce Klothys. This is looking pretty bad. I could have maybe kept open the Qasali Pridemage to deal with an Astrolabe in response to the Dead of Winter, but at the same time it would have also just shrunk the Goyf anyway. Cling to Dust, okay. I guess we'll get the Wasteland. Looks like they're actually playing... This is going to be tough, because now they get to bounce the Klothys but keep around the Teferi. They also have to cling the flashback if they need to. I don't believe I have a way out of this. Probably could have said that probably 2 turns ago as well. The Dead of Winter was really good. Bouncing the Astra to draw 2 cards. That's pretty nice. Even though they have so many jewels, I don't think I'm going to be bringing in the Blood Moon. I think it's probably just the Pyroblasts. Fork Bolt is also interesting, especially if Teferi is most likely going to be bouncing every time. So I don't mind these. I don't mind taking out the 4 swords because we have the 4 bolts. And I'm probably happy to drop the Hexdrinkers. They're probably not where I want to be, especially against the deck with Icefang Coatl, Teferi, and Oko. I think this is fine. I don't think Thorn is where I want to be either. I really want to be pressuring the board, and I don't think Thorn is going to be that great. But Snoko does seem like a pretty tough matchup. Definitely a lot of removal in the main deck, not just in actual removal, but also things like Oko, Teferi, Icefang Quietal. Snapcaster Mage at times can just be a chump blocker that actually trades with a creature if I'm not careful. I do like Rec Sage over Qasali in this matchup, because at least we're destroying something, and then also keeping around a 2-1, so they have to deal with it in some way. Whereas Qasali, most of their cards, they're getting at least a card off anyway, like Astrolabe. So going down a card is pretty bad, because they're already up, like, +1 a card off the Astrolabe. This is okay. Pretty nice. We can get a Taiga off the Wooded Foothills, play the Reclaimer, and then have Pyroblast up, or play the Sylvan Library. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep the Wooded Foothills around for now. Opponent also kept 7. That's fine. Bolt. Gonna play the library. And attack for 1. I think of this library, I'm probably just taking 8 if it sticks around. They could have Abrupt Decay, Nature's Claim. They luckily can't bounce it with Teferi this turn. But if they're fetching here, it's probably either a Ponder or just an Abrupt Decay. Or their own Sylvan Library. Which isn't too bad, because we have our own Rec Sage, which is kind of nice. So really want to be hitting a land here. Nice. I'm just going to pay for all of these. I'm going to play the Windswept Heath, because then if we draw into a fetch land next turn, the Reclaimer just gets bigger. I'm going to get a Snow-Covered Forest as well, just in case of some sort of shenanigans. No force, interesting. Brainstorm's okay. Brainstorm probably means they have a fetch land. Now we get to untap with Pyroblast up and hopefully cast this Teferi. Put on top, put on top. Let's go for Oko. I'm going to fetch in response. Icefang. Icefang's interesting. I could Pyroblast the Icefang, or I could just hold up Pyroblast and Bolt for the Icefang here. So I think I'm happy for the Icefang to resolve, actually. I'd rather fight over something fighting on the stack for Oko. Okay. I think I actually want to Pyroblast the Icefang Quietal, because the Bolt could have more relevancy later on in the game. So I might Pyroblast this first to see what happens, because if they counter this, then I might not make the Reclamation Sage a 3/3, but here I will. My opponent could be playing something like Back to Basics, which would be very annoying on this board. Dead of Winter's going to be fine. And Ponder's okay. I feel like I can't go to 6. But what do I want to do this turn? Maybe Klothys is actually where I want to be. So let's go put on top, put on top. Play this. Green Suns for 3. They're going to try to force this so we can fetch in response and Pyroblast it. Get Klothys. Create a food and pass. Food actually also good, not just because it's a 3/3, but also because we can actually sack it to try to get some more mana to play around with Sylvan Library a bit. Probably is going to be the Dead of Winter that I want to get rid of from the graveyard. Decay on Oko. Okay. Spellbomb's pretty good. They probably target us as well. Put on top, and then I'm going to shuffle with the Green Suns. Here, I'm just going to try to get rid of this Dead of Winter. Hope they target themselves. They don't. Okay. Let's go ahead and Green Suns for 3. Actually, I do want to keep open the Lightning Bolt just in case it's relevant. I think it's just going to be a Goyf. It does represent lethal next turn with this bolt, so that's pretty nice. And at least the spell bomb can only hit one graveyard. Collector Oof could be in here as well. It still is a little bit aggressive, so maybe that's a consideration as well, but then we're getting pretty close just being a Maverick deck. And the source of Plowshares there is actually quite nice for us because it allows us to go ahead and maybe just take another 8 from the Sylvan Library. I'm going to Ponder, okay. They're leaving up a swamp, which means they're probably going to cash in their spell bomb pretty soon, if not on our turn. This is where I wouldn't mind like a Thrun or a Shifting Ceratops in the deck. That would be kind of nice. Forkbolt's actually quite nice. Let's go for put on top but pay for the Hierarch. This will target their Source to Plowshares. Okay. I'm going to keep the Forkbolt for now. I could trade it for the Snapcaster Mage, but I think there's a little bit more value that I can get out of it. Uro is fine. We do have Klothys, which is nice. Do they have a land? They don't. Okay, 2 cards. Decay on Sylvan Library. Okay, that's fine. Gonna exile this Uro. Pretty good for us. I'm gonna play the Wasteland. Get in for 1. So close for this Bolt and Forkbolt just being lethal, which is kind of nice. I'm gonna actually hold them up for now. We're still at 15, so we have a lot of space to play with. But to be fair, maybe even just paying for the Wasteland last turn wasn't the worst. I think here in attack phase, I'm happy just to throw this Wasteland away to this trop. It means I can't actually use it in their second main, so that could be relevant. I'm going to float a green. I only have 1 card left. Okay, they're going to use the Spellbomb, but float a black as well? Okay. They're going to target us, that's fine. Klothys here just doing a lot of solid work. 2 cards for our opponent. Sylvan Library is great. I don't really want to target something that they can just flashback straight away, so I might just go for Icewind Quaddle. Oh, Sylvan Library. This puts him to 5. Alright. Now, I'm going to Forkbolt 1 and 1. Okay. Let's play Sylvan Library, and then let's Bolt and Upkeep. Well, they're tapping out for force with 1 card in hand. There we go. Perfect. Bolt in response. Okay. I think because of the graveyard hate, I'm pretty happy to bring back in 1 Hexdrinker and take out a Reclaimer. I think that's pretty good. Blood Moon would be interesting, perhaps, if we also had Collector Oof to turn off Astrolabe instead of trying to just trade them with Pridemages and Reclamation Sages. Ramunap also might just be a little bit dead in this matchup, but I don't think there's a better card to bring in. Although Hexdrinker is promising. Pyroblast there, really nice. Probably the best card we had. This sounds pretty great. I'll keep this. It's a turn 2 Oko, if not turn 3. What does the Ponder do? The Ponder does not shuffle. Okay. Windswept. Alright, let's go for basic forest here. I might want to go for Taiga. If I want to next turn, make sure I can hold up 1-drop and if we draw into Pyroblast, but happy just to get the snow-covered forest out of the deck for now. Play the Hierarch. The one thing I like about Noble Hierarch decks with Oko is that it just allows you to push out an Oko faster than your opponent, which a lot of the time is just really good. I like Oko here. They can't have Abrupt Decay, which is nice. They could have Red Elemental Blast if they're fetching in response. But it might just be a Ice Fang Coatl. Okay. Create a food. I think this is where Zoo really has to be against Snow. You've got to have that secondary action of having Planeswalkers and things like Sylvan Library to really also apply pressure. You can't just rely on your creatures. And I think that's the reason why Zoo doesn't get a lot of showing in Legacy, because it's just a little bit too fair, and it doesn't have that ability to kind of adjust its board presence from creatures to other permanents. And I think this is where this build does have some advantages of having both Oko, Domri, Sylvan Library. Even Klothys is really nice because it's just so hard to remove. It is if you don't remove it, you're probably going to lose the game. And it just applies that sort of sulfuric vortex kind of effect where your opponent is just losing life every turn and you're gaining life, which is even better because with Sylvan Library, you want to be drawing more cards, especially against a deck like Oko. Keeping up on cards is just so important. And I assume here the Brainstorm's going to be trying to find Abrupt Decay to deal with this Oko. Volk. Okay, it could also be Pyroblast, let's be fair. Interesting, just attacking the Oko. That probably means they have another one. Pretty happy with that, to be fair. This will be swinging for 5, so if they have a blocker, they probably want to block this. Wow. Wow. Oh, land. I didn't play a land. Rough. Should definitely have checked that. Yeah, that's a huge misplay, and hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us. Because if we can get our opponent to stumble on mana and then Wasteland this Volk, that's huge. Especially with no Astrolabes yet. Just little things like not playing the land there means this Reclaimer next turn isn't going to be a 3-3 or a 3-4. You know, it puts Hexdrinker back as well. I want to see this Ponder shuffle. It's all I want right now. I want to make sure that my opponent is really digging for something. They did not shuffle. They found a Tundra. Oko. Make a food. Okay. Interesting attack. Means if we find removal for this Ice Fang Coatl, we're good to go. I'm still going to pay for these. The question is, do I want to make Noble Hierarch a 3-3 and attack them? I think I do. I guess the big downside is that they can make their own Ice Fang a 3-3 and then trade with the Oko. I could also trade the Ice Fang for like Dryad Arbor, which is interesting. That's fine. Alright. I don't want to overcommit to the board, so I'm just going to do this. I feel like Ponder's going to be a shuffle here because they brainstorm first. Chose not to shuffle. Okay. Interesting. Just trying to dig. Astro. Okay. Opponent could also trade. Tick up on this. Okay. But nothing. Okay. Well, I definitely want to fetch here. Get out Dryad Arbor. Untap. Okay. Ooh, Domri's kind of cool. Domri is pretty sweet. Put on top. Can I pay for this? Probably not. It's close. Land. Domri. Okay. Now I'm pretty happy to fetch. Make the Elvish Reclaimer a 4/4. This can fight this. If they have a Swords to Plowshares, they can Swords in response. Okay. I'll attack Oko. Play Reclaimer. 4/4 is just so good on this board as well. So let's see how this shapes out. They do have 5 cards, which is pretty scary. They could even like Dead of Winter and then attack, maybe kill the Domri. But yeah, with the swords, it was interesting because they didn't swords in response to the fight. They swords just before damage. So they could have actually saved their 3/3. which is pretty fascinating. Underground Sea is very scary. Yeah, they found it. Decay? Okay. Bolt. Interesting. Opponent with 2 cards, 3 cards now. Down to 2 cards in hand. Ugh. All right. They haven't used Oko, have they? Interesting. They have 1 card left. Is Dryad Arbor still in the deck? No. Sadly, I don't think we come back from this, unfortunately. The Snapcaster deals with the Dryad, with the Domri. The Oko is just, yeah, a bit too big. I guess we might as well keep playing, but not looking good. Yeah. Sadly, I don't think there's too much in it. It's just a good game, so we'll see you for game 2.